It's hard to do jhana outside of the
Yeah, that's
monastery.
what I would think.
It's possible to keep the precepts, like to not lie, to not take intoxicants, to not steal, to not have sexual misconduct, even to eat only once a day and refrain from entertainment. Like the knees over toes guy, he said he hasn't watched a TV show in over a year, right? Like it's possible to have certain aspects of Buddhism in lay life, but what's difficult is maintaining a strong concentration practice. And the reason that that's difficult is because part of the strategy of the Buddhist practice is to put you into a state of boredom, suffering, and general sensory deprivation. And and that's kind of like what the monastery
Yeah.
does. And then once you're bored enough and once you're hungry enough and desperate enough, you will meditate just because that's all that there's left to do.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, that's kind of the antithesis of trying to become a musician, kind of. You're trying to like feel as much pleasure, I guess, in the sounds as possible. It's kind of a hedonistic kind of ambition, actually. So,
Right, right. But it's a very refined form of
mhm,
hedonism. It's pleasure that's earned. It's
that's
not
true.
pleasure that you're smoking or that you're taking in the form of a pill or even that you're passively consuming. You're putting in the work to get the dopamine on the other side of
Mhm.
that. You know, it definitely qualifies as a healthy behavior insofar as you're tipping the scale. Like one of the top findings in psychology of the last 20 years is that pain and pleasure are managed in the same part of the brain.
Mhm.
And so when we take a drug that tips us to the side of pleasure, the body is going to tip us back toward the side of pain in order to achieve
Yeah.
equilibrium, right? But what you're doing is you're tipping your scale to the side of pain by putting in work, by struggling with the piano,
Mhm.
by practicing, by doing riffs over and over and over again until you master them. And then when you hit that perfect rendition of the piece, you get that
Yeah.
pleasure, right? So you're going pain to pleasure,
Mhm.
which is the much better way to live, right? That's what exercise is too, right? You struggle, you put in work, and then you get pleasure on the
Mhm.
other side. I'll just comment: Buddhism and jhana are actually similar to music in that way, in that jhana is also a kind of um, hedonism. I mean, you get addicted to
That
it.
is true.
I believe, and I don't think that there's any scientific proof of this, but I believe that the pleasure that you get from jhana is the same dopamine reward system that any drug or any addictive behavior is leveraging.
Mhm.
That mechanism. It's the same part of the brain where you know heroin is processed. Is where that these meditative states are processed. So you get hooked on it. Like once you feel that pleasure, you want more of it.
Mhm.
And so the lifestyle literally becomes like you're just constantly trying to break off from the like duties at the monastery and the work periods to just like go and sit in jhana.
Was it like a very reliable
So in your
like thing to achieve? Like, could you sit down and wow.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, oh, it's super. Once you get good at it, think of it like the piano, man. Like if a beginner were to ask you, hey, is playing that song so perfectly, that advanced composition of music, is that reliable? I mean, it depends, right? Like how much have you practiced? If you've practiced it enough, yeah, it's reliable, right? You just sit, you close your eyes, and then boom, it just happens.
Crazy. Yeah.
So jhana
Yeah.
is the same way. When you get really good at it, when you get really good at it, you just you don't even need to sit. You can just be like standing and you can just close your eyes and then you can feel the breath energy converging and then you just drop
Mm.
in. Yeah.
Mm. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is, man. I would say jhana is the the number one human ability that's totally remarkable and otherworldly, that 99.999% of people don't even know is within the realm of human
Yeah,
experience.
and probably don't even believe that it's possible.
Right. Right.